Welcome to An Actor's Library, and I am Carlise Burke. And today I would like to review and share with you a little book that I read recently called The Widow Basquiat, or actually it's called Widow Basquiat. There's no "the" there. Widow Basquiat. Jean-Michel Basquiat, as some of you may know, is a very well-known artist who passed away in 1988 at 27 years old from a heroin overdose. But before that, in his young years, in his youth, he was a graffiti artist in New York City. He wrote sentences and phrases and political thoughts that he had all over walls, all over New York City, and he went by the name Samo. But then he went on to start painting on canvases and he became famous and rich at his young age, and he hung out with rich and famous people like himself. Widow Basquiat's name is Suzanne Malik. This is a picture of her and him back in the day. She met him in 1980 in a bar, and I believe she was a waitress. They hung out. She was also addicted to drugs. They loved each other. He called her Venus. It was tumultuous, their relationship. It says Widow Basquiat, but she was indeed not married. They were never married. He did have a lot of women, or maybe not a lot, but he had other women in his life. But it feels as if there was something special between the two of them that he didn't have with anyone else. He and Madonna dated at one point in his short life. So this book is fascinating to me. It's very small. I probably could have read it in a night, but every time we got to a point that talked about Basquiat's artwork, or mentioned one of his paintings, or even mentioned some of the people that he ran with and that he met, like Ramelzi, I think is this actor's name, who was like a street performer that dressed up in masks and was very strange, very odd. But again, art, I don't know, something about art, like the stranger you are, the more turmoil you have in your life, the more famous you become, not everybody, but that's what it seems like to me. And I think that's kind of what attracts me to artists. But I had to stop and put the book down because I wanted to see the painting that was being talked about in the book. So I would research it. And then when I researched Ramelzi, I had to listen to his interviews and I wanted to see what he was all about. So it took me longer than I thought it would take if I just sat down and read the book from cover to cover. One of the things I like about it, one of the other things I like about it, there's a lot of things. It was written by Jennifer Clement, and it's about the Widow Basquiat and her story with Jean-Michel Basquiat. And there's short chapters, as you can see. I'm going to take this bookmark out of here. We don't need that. But there's short chapters, as you can see. Little chapters. And the top part, I'll take a really short one right here, is written by the author, Jennifer Clement. But then Suzanne adds her take on the exact same story or whatever it is that they're talking about. She also adds her story. So I found that to be very unique and a very interesting read in that sense. Suzanne to me is as fascinating as Basquiat, because even though she hung out with him in the 80s, they dated, they had this love affair on and off. There was, drugs and all kinds of stuff involved. At one point during their friendship or lovership or relationship, she decides that she too can paint. So she paints some paintings, and she actually has an art show. She has an art exhibit. So then she decides, okay, I did that. I'm done with that. Another point, she decided she wanted to be a singer. No one ever said she was a great singer, but she sang. She may have recorded some stuff. She went into the studio, and then she goes on tour. She actually goes on tour, maybe to Europe. I can't remember. Read the book, find out all the details. And she goes on tour and she has a singing career. She's just attacked anything, not attacked in a negative way, but she has just pursued anything that she thought she wanted to do and has had some success at it. After Basquiat passed away at the age of 27 in 1988, she went back to school and she graduated from college and from med school. Suzanne Malik is who I'm talking about, Widow Basquiat. She is now an addiction psychotherapist and psychiatrist specializing in treating artists. That whole story to me is fascinating. And it reminds me of a quote, and this is where the inspiration comes for me out of this book. It reminds me of a quote that I love. I don't even know who said it, but it was, "Don't judge me by the chapter you walked in on." So back in the 80s, people may have decided she was just a drug addict, hanging out with Basquiat, walking around the streets of New York City, dressed in really weird clothes, and nothing is going to become of her. And we all know what happened to Basquiat at 27. He's now not with us anymore. But here she is all these years later, Dr. Suzanne Malik. So you can change your life at any point. You can make whatever choices you make in your life. You don't have to stay locked into one place. And if things look dismal, you don't ever have to feel stuck. You can move, you can get help, you can grow. And that's where the inspiration from this book comes for me. So after I finally finished reading this book, I had jury duty in downtown LA. I'm not crazy about downtown LA. I'm also not crazy about jury duty. So I was hoping to get released from jury duty and not have to, be on a trial. I parked my car right next to the Broad Museum and had to walk to the court like several blocks away. And I decided if I was released from jury duty, I was going to go to the Broad because I'd always wanted to go to that museum and had never had a chance and didn't really want to make a special trip downtown to do that. I was released from jury duty and I had myself a good old-fashioned artist date. I don't know if any of you remember the book, The Artist's Way, but she would always encourage you to take yourself on an artist date to keep your creativity alive and to just renew your spirit, and a lot of other positive things could come out of it. So I went to the Broad that day. I wanted to go to the illumination room with all the lights and everything that everybody's always talking about and take pictures in there and the big balloon sculpture. I wanted to see all of the stuff that I had seen on the internet. And I had gone through about 2 floors, I think, different artists. It's a small museum. But packed with a lot of really good stuff. And I was on my way out. I thought, okay, I'm done. I've had enough. And I look into this one room and I'm like, is that a Basquiat? And I go inside and there are Basquiat paintings all over the wall. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm in heaven. So there I am trying to take a selfie with a Basquiat painting in the background, which is insane, but I did it because I never even knew you could take pictures in museums. I've never been in a museum where you were allowed to take photographs. So I took full advantage of it. I was in heaven because I was seeing an actual Basquiat painting after reading this book. And I had to bring home a little bit of Basquiat. So this is a candle that I saw in the, oh my God, it smells so good. That I saw this candle in the gift shop and I had to bring it home brand new. I love that. Always keep it brand new, keep it 100. Money, love that. And there's his artwork. He used to write on always a crown. This was another one of his signatures. There was crowns on lots of his paintings, always words, almost childlike. It fascinates me what what attracts the masses as far as artwork is concerned. It's so subjective. So, oh my God, this smells so good. It smells so good. I'm going to light it right now. Light it right now. So I highly recommend this book. Let's see, there we go. I highly recommend this book, Widow Basquiat. I give it 5, 10, 20, 1,000, hundreds of stars. This is so, so good. Check it out. And thanks for joining me at An Actor's Library.